You have snails, Andy. I see one behind you, man. It's coming to get you.
I can't help it. I've taken them so many baths. I use snail off. I use all kinds of really nice stuff, and I still have snails. It's like they're all eating my hair.
That's why you're going bald. It's the
Hey,
snails, man. Yeah,
hey,
yeah.
everybody. Hey,
Anyway,
everybody.
guys,
I'm back.
welcome back to Gardens, the Untold Story. I'm your host, Ken Somerville, my good friend and co-host, Andy Lopez, the Invisible Gardener. Still working on getting through Andy's book, and this chapter, which I think is chapter 17, is You Have Snails. So tell us, Andy, why did you put a chapter like this in your book?
I didn't have much choice, really. I decided because so many people have snails,
Mm-hmm.
and it's so next to ants. Snails are right up there because when I started doing this in the 6th grade, two things
Uh-huh.
people wanted to know: how do you control the ants, and what do you do for snails? So
Yeah.
I learned the practical way of how to deal with snails, just like with ants.
Okay.
Before I knew about the biology, before I knew what the real reason, I did know that you're not supposed to be using chemicals to kill snails. And I have the same approach to snails as I do to ants. They're Mother Nature's janitors. They're gardeners. They were put here. They're here for a reason. There's something. Their reason they have to be here. And everything has a reason, except for humans. I think I'm not sure.
Well, we
Yeah,
have a reason. We just haven't figured it out yet. Yeah.
I'm just not sure. But I always felt that, like in my garden, my next door neighbor's place, they have massive amounts of snails. And in my garden, I have a few snails. Just a few snails would come and go. And they were always, how come you have so many snails on my side and not snails on your side? I told them, I'm Latino. And that usually kept the snails away. And I have another customer that grows snails for escargot.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, she was. I remember in the 6th grade, I ran into this lady who asked me, "Do you have snails in your garden?" And I says, "Yes." "You use chemicals?" I said, "No." I said, "Well, good. Pick all the snails, and I will give you." I forgot what it was, a penny a snail, or something like that. Come in. And they said, "What are you going to do?" "We're going to cook them and eat them." I go, "What?" She actually feeds the snails
Yeah.
bread so they get fatter, and then they fry them with garlic. And that was
Yeah.
in the 6th grade. My first experience with eating. I try to eat ants, by the way. Chocolate covered ants is pretty cool. I also have eaten worms, chocolate covered worms. That's pretty cool. You have to cook them right, otherwise it's no good. Snails,
Okay.
snails. I'm not too crazy about eating snails, but let me share this with you guys. And we're going to just click on this. Go ahead. Can you see it now?
Yeah, it's up now.
Yeah. Can you see my beautiful, handsome face? This is your
You
photo.
still have snails eating all the hair, though.
Yeah. Well, I had more hair than I have now. So by the way, that's a better picture of the snail on the top up there. See
Yeah.
it? 10 steps to organic snail control. Now there are actually a few more, but these are the ones that come to mind right off the bat. Okay, so and I think I missed number one. It's supposed to be collect snails manually. Looks like the screen got a little larger, and I'm not sure how to deal with that. Oh, I screwed up. Look at that. Right? Can you see the
Oh,
top?
wow.
Oh well, it says collect snails manually. That's one of the things that Did you know that one snail can produce 300 snails eggs per day?
Okay, that's a lot of eggs. That's like a fish, man.
That's like a fish. It really is. When you find the snail eggs, you go, "Wow!" It's like I don't remember what is it called, that black stuff that looks like eggshell, like eggs, right?
Caviar?
Caviar, yeah. Except that these eggs are white and the caviar is black. So I
Okay.
learned right off the bat, you want to keep your snail population down, because there's always a short-term and a long-term solution, right? You always have to deal with it two ways. What can I do right now? What would be the obvious? It would be to pick the snails, right? The obvious is
Yeah.
just pick them.
Yeah.
You know, when I started studying Rudolf Steiner's practice, he talks about a very unique way that he controls snails, and I looked it up. That there was a guy in Germany who started doing that. It's called radionics, and but basically what he would do, he would make a pipe. It's a pipe that will send and receive two pipes, right? It depends upon if you're in one location or another. But basically, you have one pipe in your property, and in that pipe, if you took a snail and crushed it, the pipe would send a signal up on the whole property. All the snails would leave. Okay,
Yeah,
right?
it's like fair. They're sending out the pheromones to
Something's
say,
going out, right?
bad, 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 run away.
Something's going out, right? Something's going out. And
Yeah.
so, and also, like I said, I read where the one snail produces over 300 eggs, and that kind of stops the production. But if you let one snail go by, in a couple of days, you're going to see like hundreds of snails running all over the place. But also, too, and I'll get to that, why you have so many snails in the first place, right? I'll get to that. That's usually the number 10. They always say, wait until the end, and I will tell you the best part. Well,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
right. So we have barriers. Now, barriers are really very interesting because when I had raised beds, and I made raised beds for people who did not listen to a word I would say, so they have snails running all over the place. I said, well, we're going to do a raised beds, and we'll keep the snails off the bed, right? So that's where the barriers come in. Copper tape is really good because it forms an electric charge when the snail go over it. Plus, copper is toxic to them when they get it on them. You know how you get your green hands? Well, that's the copper. And then there's garden grade diatomaceous earths. You have to understand that there's 3 different types of diatomaceous earths. Can you guess what that is, Ken?
Well, there's the human grade, there's the
Yeah,
garden grade, and
yeah.
then there's the industrial grade.
Industrial grade. That would be pool grade.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So the pool grade is treated with a chemical, and you will get a lung disease if you get that too much in your lungs. You do not want that. The difference between a garden grade and a food grade is quality. That's all it really is. This is a better vein, a better quality product than the garden grade. The garden grade is usually left over from the food grade. Doesn't pass the muster for being food grade. And so and I learned about diatomaceous earths from a customer who had horses, and he actually had a little farm. She had chickens and let's see, a rabbit, lots of rabbits, horses. I think there was some goats running around. There wasn't a llama; it was an alpaca running around, and some sheep.
Right.
And so she would give food grade diatomaceous earths in their food.
Yeah, it's great for getting rid of worms. We give it to our dogs and our cats.
Right. The other benefit is it also get rid of the flies.
Yeah.
So any flies that would come from the manure and stuff like that, you know how they lay their eggs, diatomaceous earths will destroy it, get rid of it, because it's the way it's made was just cut them up. I've been using diatomaceous earths for my cat forever. Give it just a tiny, you only need a tiny little bit, maybe once a month. More often if you think they have worms, or if you think you have worms, because people tend to get worms really easy, or different predators. Diatomaceous earths is one of those things that's very good for you to take. Add it to water, drink it, and it goes in your body. The little fine microscopic, but it doesn't cut you up, but it will work on any worms, any parasites that it runs into.
To give you a little example of that, when I make my pills, my cannabis pills, I actually put diatomaceous earth in with my cannabis pills, so I don't have to worry about worms in my body. And it's really high in silica, which is really good for my body.
Yeah. Diatomaceous earth is an excellent product to use. I've always been using it. I have some here, which I when I have animals, I dust them with the diatomaceous earth. You only use a tiny little bit on their back. You dust them with it, wipe it all off. The diatomaceous earth will get into any fleas, stuff like that. You can also, of course, give it to them to eat. The cat, you can put it in their food. You have to start very slowly with their food, otherwise they won't eat it. So one of the things that it's very important, and I've always believed about biology. So we have to talk about what all the predators are natural biologies, right? They're on wheels, they run around, they do stuff, right? That's their biology, right?
Right.
So I've always felt as I evolve into more of my thinking about how to control things. You say, I think to myself, let Mother Nature do it. Let's set up Mother Nature as the way she wants it. Set up her everything. Everybody's happy. Everybody's doing their thing. And guess what? You don't really have a problem with any one disease or any one pest because all this together combines to reduce that problem. That's where the predators come in, right? If you have an environment where birds are happy, toads are happy, brown beetles, all kinds of creatures are running through there, you're not going to have too much of a snail problem at all, right? You know what I'm saying?
No,
You only
when the ecosystem is in balance, it all takes care of itself.
that's right. That is really the key to it, and that's almost like the number 10. But number 10, I have a different one in mind. But that's what this. I should have said instead of natural predators, I should have said let Mother Nature at it, right? Something like that, because there's so many different predators for the snails that not just living things. There are also biological stuff that you can use, which I'll talk to you. I'll talk about it in a little bit. It's all biology. I've learned how to do so many different things you could use. I guess those poor snails that I usually in my garden here. I think I found 3 snails, and they were knocking on my door to see if they can come inside.
Hey man, they're packing their own house on their back. What the heck are they doing trying to come into your house?
I said you can't come in here now. It's all right. You can't come in here. And I think what happened, the way like most people, when let's see now, I bought some plants in the nursery.
Right.
That should say it right there because there's snail eggs in the plants. Plants when I bought, the containers that I bought in the nursery. I'm almost certain that when I was younger, I used to before I take the plants out of the container, I would just take them out real slowly and look underneath where the plant's growing down there. You will see the snails and the snail eggs and slugs and a bunch of other things. A lot of times they also see it right underneath the container because they tend to come out. And that's understandable because in a nursery garden environment, the last place you're going to have an ecosystem functioning, right?
Right.
It'll be using so much chemicals, so much fertilizers, so much things that are not natural. Yeah, the snails will go like crazy. That's why they spray like crazy for diseases and other pests, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So number 4 is companion planting, which is always one of my favorites because again, you're using other biology to help you. That's what I'm doing right now in the garden in terms of keeping the squirrels and other creatures. I think there's a grasshopper running around. It's a locust.
Yeah.
It's a giant grasshopper. I think he's running around eating stuff. So he doesn't touch the lavender. He won't touch the rosemary. He won't touch the snail, the sage, and so I plant things amongst them. I also learned that the lavender transfers to any plant around it. That lavender scent, right? That lavender biology that comes. Same thing with rosemary or sage. They all have their own unique. You can smell it. With your eyes closed, you can tell what you got, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so the bugs, specifically the snails and other creatures, they all know it. They know it's that, and that's not what they want. They're not going to eat this stuff.
Yeah.
Nor are they going to come anywhere near anything that smells like it. So I learned to plant things around them. It actually transferred. One of the things I didn't put on your companion plant is garlic. There's so many things you can put down here to grow. As a matter of fact, everything in the garden has a useful purpose to it. So once you learn that nothing is special here, they're all unique. They all provide really interesting forms of control. They not only protect themselves, but protect the neighborhood as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, and so what I do is I learn to just plant everything. You don't have to say I've gotten several books that say plant this with that or plant this with that. Like garlic, you can plant garlic everywhere for everything, right? There are lots of other plants. All these lavenders, the rosemary, sages, stuff like that, all the medicinal herbs, you can plant them anywhere because they will affect the whole garden. I have one plant that affects the whole garden. I can smell it before I come anywhere near it. If I can smell it, everybody else can too.
Well, yeah, all the insects, etc. And companion planting is a beautiful thing. Like we had discussion, a panel on the horizontal soil system this past Monday, and Josh from Yellow Skunk Farms, he was on, and if you watch his stuff, he's built a complete ecosystem, and he grows a multitude of different types of plants because they all work together. And
That's
it's
right.
that ecosystem that, once that ecosystem is going and it gets that balance, all plants grow beautifully. It
That's right.
doesn't matter what your specific plant is, with the tomato or a strawberry or a cannabis plant.
Right now, and I've always felt like that because when I do not, I notice that Mother Nature doesn't grow in straight lines. Mother Nature doesn't plant like we do. We have a whole bunch of corn in one row, one straight line.
Yeah.
Try to find that in Mother Nature. Naturally does not do that. There's no such thing as a straight line of planting in Mother Nature. You should see my garden now. It's like you really have to look because it's all one green thing, right? You look at it and going, I know there's a tomato plant in there, right? Or
Somewhere.
I know there's a lettuce here somewhere, it's like, and so when people walk around and say, why don't you have labels? I said, no, you're going to have to learn how to separate them yourself. What? You want the bugs to read the labels? They're not. Oh, look at it, it's lettuce. So it's really very interesting because that's exactly what happens. The whole thing is one big companion planting. I was just finished planting dandelion, right? I was just planting more. I like arugula, but I also planted all different types of beets, right? All the small little different varieties of beets. Garlic is one of my favorite. Onions is another one I can plant all over the place. I've been planting over. Nothing touches those things. And if you plant them with it, they survive longer than they're by themselves. My garden is starting to show more and more snails. I didn't say that. More and more earthworms than ever before.
Yeah.
And it's starting to go down. The soil is about maybe half a foot now. You go half a foot, you're going to get this white sand. Before it didn't have anything, maybe even an inch. You're lucky if you had an inch there because it didn't have any soil. So in some places, I actually dug down deeper. Because I learned that this white sand is actually like a container. Roots won't go down any deeper than the white sand. I think it's a little on the salty side. pH is really off. It's really weird. So I have no choice but to grow in there. But basically, I've been dumping all kinds of compost, all kinds of organic matter, biochar. Just today, when it rains, I do a bunch of really cool biology liquids that we spray, which I'm happy to go over with you guys. But I'll give you an example because the more biology in the ground, right? The more biology is in the ground, the harder it's going to be for any bug or disease to establish itself.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's going to create that balance and it's going to create health.
Yeah. And it's really like again, I feel that if I go to a place and there's not a single snail anywhere or not a single ant, I go,
it's dead.
Yes, something's going on here because if it was really dead, there would be like a billion snails and a billion ants. Okay, so we're talking about there is no because that's part of the biological system. The snails and the ants, just like the gophers, just like everything around us, all part of the systems. If something's missing in that system, there's something wrong, and it's only going to get worse.
Yeah. Well, just think of it, Andy. If you take the transmission out of your pickup truck, it's a beautiful pickup truck, but it isn't going to go anywhere.
It's not going to take you any place at all. As a matter of fact, if you're driving with a bad transmission, it's going to ruin your brakes, going to ruin the rest of the tire. The whole car is going to suffer.
Yeah.
So I learned from experience that, and one of the things I like about this show is like the more roots in the ground, the better. Is why plant an herb a lettuce or whatever tomato all by itself over there? That poor plant needs help. It needs support system. Mother Nature does all these things around it. It's like there's no road driving through the forest, right? There's the forest. You get it, right? And you're lucky there are paths that animal takes, but there's not like a group of even in the forest, the trees provide help. The trees provide pest and disease control as well. You know that, right?
Yeah.
So the number 5 here is moisture management. I really should say water management because and again I apologize for this because I just put it up, but I really should have said water management, and then I should say water filter.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Well, and that's really important that people, and we talk about it all the time. Is if you're not using filtered water from city water, then it's designed to kill bacteria in the water, the chemicals they put in. If you're using that water in your garden for your plants, whether it's indoor plants, outdoor plants, or anywhere else, it's damaging the biology, which is building the cells in your plant. You can't have a truly healthy plant using that water.
And where the biology is damaged, so too is the system is damaged. Because remember,
Yep.
we talk a lot about the Brix level of a plant. Well, when the biology is damaged, that means it's not functioning. That means it's not going to give that plant the trace minerals that it needs. And the snails are going to go, dinner. Not just snails, but diseases and pests are going to go for that food because it's perfect food for them. See, and we tend to key into water. Yeah, we water too much all the time. Water, 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 water. And that's the problem when you're using city water that's constantly killing your biology, and you're wondering how come I have so many snails. Why do I have an ant problem? These are like Mother Nature's warning you. If you can't walk around without stepping on a snail or an ant, see the earth is moving, you have better pay attention because something's going on and you're going to be next, right?
Well, yeah, every time you drink it, you're making your gut biology weaker and weaker.
Don't even want to go there. Don't even want to go about drinking in it because it's like, oh, you have to have 8 glasses of water a day. And I'm going, okay, where are you getting your water from? Well, it doesn't say. The guy has a plastic bottle he's drinking. Right? 8 glasses of this delicious water every day. I'm going, oh, gee whiz.
Yeah, get it out of the tap, man. It's good water.
And then they go buy in the store, those little containers that stick the bottle in. But if you were to look around, it's hooked into the spigot. It's hooked into the bib. They're getting city water that they're filtering out, very little filtering. That's what you're buying. And the filter is probably junk filter, right? Not the kind of filter that would filter out the chemicals that's in the city water. And people drink coffee. People go to all these coffee places. I'm not going to give any names of the coffee, but the coffee place. That coffee was being sued, by the way, for about $40 million a year because they were they were buying chemicals which they say they had to do to clean their coffee, filter the coffee makers, right? The whatever they use it to make coffees with. So even that's toxic. When you go to a restaurant, I love, my favorite thing when I go to a restaurant, which I don't anymore, I said, first of all, may I speak with the chef, please? They go, oh shit, he's here again. I said, do you have anything?
Crazy guy again.
I would say, do you have anything at all that's organic? And they would look at me, and then they would look in the back. Hey, George, you got anything that's organic? No, we don't. Well, okay. Yeah. Normally, I would get up and walk away. I said, well, if I'm with other people, I say, okay, you guys enjoy because I'm going to watch you. And then I talked to the guy. I said, I hate to ask you this, but do you have a water filter? Can I get some water? But it has to be from a water filter. We don't have a water filter. He's not Italian. Hey, add what you want to Italian, Japanese, whatever. It's like, we don't have a water filter. Last time I went to a restaurant, do you have any are these eggs organic? Have a nice day. Be back. See you later.
They come from the butt of a chicken. Yeah, they're organic. Okay.
So number 6 is eggshell or coffee grounds. Now, eggshells, everybody knows what the crushed eggshell does. It's hard to cross over, the snails. But the truth is that you're actually adding a calcium to the biology. Calcium is very important to make all the other nutrients available. It comes like this: carbon and then calcium. Okay, and those are the 2 things you have to be able to work with. If you don't have either of those, you may have carbon, but if you don't have calcium, and of course you need the biology to do everything. But I'm just talking about what does the biology need right off the bat: carbon, calcium. But yeah. So I should, in this whole thing here, again, as I talk about, I would say, well, again, it comes, we can concentrate on the trace mineral aspects of things. Make sure there's trace minerals in the soil. Make sure there's trace minerals in the foliar spraying you're spraying. Now, the trace minerals in the soil is not going to control the ants or the snails, right? It's not going to control it. The snails are not going to go, oh, look at all these trace minerals, I got to go. No, but what it does is that the trace minerals gets into the plants and the snails go, I can't eat that. I better go over there because there's more food for me over there. That's what it does. It gets you.
Okay, let's get back to number 6, the eggshells and coffee grounds.
Yeah.
So you're powdering the eggshells and just making a circle around it, around the base of your plant. And is that the same with coffee grounds?
Yeah, basically, I use a motor, or you can take it and put it in a coffee ground. You have your own coffee ground, throw it in there, but get it into a nice fine powder. You can crush it. There's lots of different ways. You can hit it with a hammer or the bag, lots of ways to get it down to a fine. If you just do the eggshells, it'll take you a lifetime for it to break down to be effective.
Well, yeah, because I can see a snail just crawling over an eggshell, no problem.
They use the eggshell as part of their shell.
Yeah, it's a calcium source, and that's what their shells are made of. So you just push, crush them up so that it's almost a powder, and then put a circle around the base of the plant.
What I do is one step further. I take the eggshells and coffee grounds, mix them all together, and use it. Now, coffee is very unique in a lot of different ways. It's caffeine. So snails are fairly, mellow guys. They talk like this, and it's like, what did you do today? Oh, I don't know. I just walked around. So imagine if they got some caffeine in them. Oh, I have to go now. Oh dear, I'm late to work. Oh.
Yeah. Now somebody's mentioning seashells. So yeah.
Yes, it all has to do with the calcium, right? And so if you get
limestone,
and yeah, right, exactly. Anything from the ocean, whether it be a stone or shell, are all rich in all the trace minerals, not just the calcium. And you can learn how to crush them up into a fine powder. These are like more of our long-term. They're useful for having the snails not crawl over them as a barrier. You can do that immediately around plants that you don't want to be eaten. Because
now, I do want to point this out from Man Turtle Dude. Just don't breathe it in when you're crushing seashells. That goes for any type of shell.
Oh, come on. That's my favorite thing to snort. I would sell that. I would sell that.
Screw your lungs up. Yeah. That's the way to breathe that stuff.
I would sell that as my own garden version of what. Here's some of this to snort. No, that's true. You have to be careful with anything in the garden you do. Like today, I was adding one of my favorite things to add to rainwater is organic wheat flour. I also have organic rice. I also have. What are you doing?
You making pancakes or what? Bread?
No. So wheat and rice. You remember what I told you? Why I add rice to water?
Yeah. I remember adding rice to the water and
what do I? What do you get?
Lactic acid bacteria or lactobacillus.
That's right. There you go. Excuse me. So. Let's finish with coffee. So the cold brewed coffee is an excellent tool to control. You have lots of snails. You want to get them get a hold of them right away. You make some cold brew coffee. So the coffee grounds you cannot really sprinkle over your whole property. You have to go to some place to get lots of coffee grounds. And then if you're doing that, you don't want to go. You don't want to go to a store that you're getting leftover coffee grinds that the person already got it in the coffee, because the purpose why you use the coffee grinds is because of the caffeine. So if there's no caffeine left in the coffee grind, it helps the soil a little bit acidified, but it's not going to do a thing to the snails. So you literally want to go buy coffee and use it straight without making a batch of coffee. The real thing, of course, organic coffee, and sprinkle it very lightly around the plant rather than making coffee for yourself and then using the coffee grinds afterwards. Right? You got that?
Yes, I do. So don't make the coffee before you're putting it around the plant. Just but you're grinding it up first, though, and putting it around.
You already got ground coffee. It comes grounded. But if you want to go through the bean grinding, that's fine. You can get it. You can make it and put it down. You know, I buy a coffee ground, organic coffee ground, so it costs maybe $20. That 1 pound will last me for months and months and months because you don't really need to sprinkle a whole lot. Just sprinkle a little bit around the plants if you want to, if you have that problem. I haven't gotten to the. What I prefer to do with it is to give it to my worms. Okay.
Yeah.
The worms really love coffee. They say, hey, man, I have a little bit out of it. And you give them coffee. Oh yeah, throw dig some tunnels. Oh, they get energy off of that. But the cold brew coffee, it makes a very. So I spray that a lot of my customers' places. 100 gallons filtered water with my biology in there, and then in there I would do 10 bottles of cold brew coffee. Each bottle has 20 cups of coffee concentrated in it. Okay. So I would be like 200 cups, 200 cups of coffee in my 100 gallons of water. Okay. And I'm going to tell you, it's not going to kill the plant or hurt the bees or the birds. Matter of fact, they like flying around it because the caffeine kills other creatures as well. The birds love it, you know. But it will kill the snails on contact.
Okay.
You can put it in a sprayer, spray your whole garden. Usually you want to do it so you learn where they're hiding. You lift up things, there are a bunch of snails, and you spray them with that under the wood, under leaves, under other things. You're going to find snails hanging there, but it also controls the snail eggs. So you can literally spray your whole yard with that. I would do that. So if you have a lot of snails, I would do that on a regular basis, maybe once a week, because the snails travel for miles from everywhere. They're being attracted to your garden for a reason, okay? So if you had healthy plants and the plants were radiating and health, the snails would go, let's go over there because there's no food over there. There's food over there. They have a little built-in refractometer. They know when the food is perfect for them. You know, it's just like when you bite it, you go, this has to taste right. Sometimes I've seen them do that and walk on down the road to the next person's house.
Mm.
So the cold brew coffee,
they're degraders, right? They're supposed to be breaking things down. And
that's right.
If it's healthy, they don't want to break it down because their bodies can't actually use that material because, and we've talked about this before,
Yeah,
it's the complex carbohydrates.
that's right.
You know,
That's
and
right.
they can't eat it. They can't
That's
eat
right.
it. If you couldn't live where you live and have food where you live, you're not going to live there. You're going to move down the road someplace where you can get food.
And that's true for all pests. All
Yes.
pests, every single pest is genetically geared to that plant, to a certain plant. And that pest will automatically know when it's food time because they have a little built-in refractometer. Oh, look, it's changed colors. And basically, he doesn't care about the Brix level of the plant. He doesn't care whether it's healthy or not. All he knows is that, hey, dinner time.
Exactly.
Right? You'll go eat it. Exactly right. So pine hole borer, you have all kinds of beetles. You have all kinds of bugs, right, that go eat your plants. And interesting enough, I have rabbits here, and so they don't like coffee. They don't, but they like the vegetables because it's the opposite. This is delicious because they say they're like a higher grade being, right? Rather than the little guys. These guys are like, we want organic food. We love this. This is delicious because it works differently for animals and other higher level creatures than the lower pests. You know, that's the way Mother Nature set it up. So unfortunately the rabbits will come around. I've seen the rabbits nibbling on my stuff. And so I use a cold brew coffee. I don't use it as much around my vegetables because everything tastes like coffee. So when I'm eating salads, friends come over. What is this? This is called coffee salad.
Yeah, it's not Caesar salad anymore. It's coffee salad.
Coffee
French
salad.
brew.
So I like garlic, so I spray everything with garlic, and people say, "Oh, now it tastes like garlic." Yep, it's like garlic. And that's what it does when you garlic. It's also one of the things you could use here to control, but it doesn't really do anything for snail population. It just basically keeps other plants from coming around, other creatures from eating your plants. One of the things I started doing the first things I started doing when I started doing organic gardening for people to control snails was to do traps. So I didn't know too
Okay.
much about a companion planting. I didn't know I wasn't making compost. I didn't know how to make any biological sprays. Even though I started early to figure out some of the biology that I could spray, and I'll tell you a little bit about that. But the first thing was I would buy beer traps. It was like that's what I've read in Organic Garden. Just get an organic gardening magazine. Just get some beer and a bottle and a plate. Put it in there. Tuck it in someplace. Come back the next day. There are your snails. They're all like, "Hey man, I can't get out of here. This is some beer." So that's the first thing I learned. And the beer does attract them because of the scent, right? And the vinegar
Yeah.
works really well too. The scent attracts them. And that scent is very similar to what some plants put out, right? So,
Yeah.
so they get attracted to that. I also learned, like I said before, my plant selection is very interesting because I would plant things that are immune to snails right along with plants that are very susceptible to snails. There are certain plants that just, it really depends because I think it's because they're not being grown in their native country. So they're being grown in the foreign soil that the biology is not there for them. They're very weak, right?
Yeah.
And so it's hard to get their bricks level up if their food, if they're not getting the nutrition. The biology is just not there. You have a different type of soil biology from India and China than you do here. So a lot of times when I buy things from other countries, seeds, it's impossible to imitate the environment again, the weather, whether it's too hot, too cold, all kinds of stuff. And that causes a problem. So it's not so much snail resistant plant varieties. It says that these plant varieties are growing in their environment. They're healthier than you're planting other things that are not meant to be growing here.
Well, and if people understand that inside of every seed is the biology from the
Yes.
mother plant is put inside that seed. So when it sprouts and that seed opens up, it sprays biology into the soil. So if you have a plant from India, it's used to the biology that has evolved in those soil structures in India, or you bring it to say northern Canada where I am, it's the same families of biology, but they're extremely distant cousins. It's like putting somebody from South Africa living in the Arctic and they can never get warm. They have to wear 16 sweaters in the summer just to be warm because it's that drastic change of environment.
So
And
the
that's where it's so hard for these plants to really adjust.
so the seeds, when they shoot out their biology, that biology is not going to survive in that environment. If it
Yeah.
could be great, if that biology just took off in your plant, I have no problem with it. See, but if your biology is going, wait a minute, where is the what and they die, then that plant has a hard time surviving because it hasn't genetically been around long enough. That's why it's always good to, when you grow something, get the seed from that, grow it again in that same environment. Sooner or later, especially your biology, the genes will mutate enough to be able to accept the biology that's growing in, rather than all of a sudden here's this biology I've never seen before, right?
Yeah.
And it comes out the same thing with mulch too, because mulching, they're different depending what part of the world you're in. What your mulch is going to be like.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, yeah.
And that's also true of the biology, because mulching is what? It's living things that you chopped up into small pieces. The biology of that is what you're spreading out. I love wood chips because one of the things I know that recently what I'm doing is working, that you lift it up, you see the mycelium covering the wood chips. They just eat right straight through it. It becomes a nice little condo for them to live in. And you can you can make a tea from those things as well. So
I got to bring this one up from Serena. How
uh-oh.
does a gardener say thanks? Thank you very much. Okay.
Okay.
Yep,
Oh dear.
yep.
Oh, so did I finish the sharing?
You turned the sharing off. I don't know where we weren't even at 10 yet. I think we're only at 7.
We did send.
We
I
did
did.
all 10?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Actually, there's nothing 10. 10 says these are the 10 tips.
Oh, that's psychological warfare, okay?
So the thing that I want you guys to walk away with is basically, again, it comes down to it's all about the biology. Because if you did nothing else, if you make really good compost, say, right, and you spray your whole yard with compost, you're not going to have a snail problem at all, or any other type of disease at all. You see, because the biology will kill the snails on contact. It does it. There's different types of biological parts that affect, the biology of the snails, for example, or the biology of the ants. That's why I tell people that it's the soil that controls the disease or pest, because there's biology in there.
Someone mentioned earlier they have so many nematodes. The nematodes, or since they got so many nematodes, they don't have the snails anymore, and a lot of things, are in their larvae state, and the nematodes are eating that larvae, breaking the cycle of the snails. And it's all comes down to balance. Once you have all that life in there, that life controls other life, that controls other life, and it's all any animal, whether it's a plant, an animal, a human, we're all just forms of cells. The more cells, the larger the animal, and we all stay in balance when we can live together. What we've done, Andy, is we keep killing off large swaths of the biology that controls these cells, and then we can't have the worms in that soil because there isn't the biology to build those cells and put it together to be a dang worm.
So I work with homeowners.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different than working with a farmer, say, right?
Yeah.
I mean, really, really super different, because a homeowner, the last thing the homeowner wants to think is, I need to go out and rotate the cattle, right? Or I need to go out and move my sheep around, or I need to go around and move my chicken around. Because when you have a farm, you have a whole ecosystem of everything you need. You literally don't even have to leave there. If you're really smart, you learn how to make toilet paper. You know how to make ink. You know how to make everything. You don't have to leave. Or you can make a deal with your next door neighbor who's very good at sewing, whatever. So you have your own thing going on there. And that's very difficult for a homeowner. There's one customer that I'm seeing now, massive, beautiful place, but you can see, well, that plant died. That plant, this has disease, that has disease, and the lady's freaking out. And then you look at the soil, it's like hard. It's not like clay, because I think when they built that, they added a lot of soil. So it took a while for the soil to decompose, but it didn't really, it's not just plain clay. So what she was doing, something was keeping it there. So it should be able to come back to life again once we start introducing the biology to it. And that's the thing that I just wrote a list of things for how to increase your soil biology. Because homeowners do not think about what should I need to do to increase soil biology. Water filter was an enormous thing, big step forward, because you're constantly adding chemicals to your property. Imagine if you go around sprinkling salt on a regular basis on your property. It's
amazing that every time they spray that city chemical water, they're killing biology. So just think, you're trying to build a house, and every day you go out and you kill off half of the laborers, every single day. It's going to take a long time to build a house,
if ever, because also what will happen, your house will start to deteriorate, fall apart, because there's nobody there to take care of it. And that's pretty much what's happening with a homeowner. The last thing they think about is, why do I need a water filter for my property? It's like, I don't understand that. And it's easy for me to explain. It says, do you have a water filter in your kitchen? Yeah. I only drink I also have one in the bathroom. Well, you understand why you do that, right? Then you have to really do the very same because the soil, it's a soil asking me for a water filter. I don't hear anybody saying I need a water filter. So they get the water filter because, one, they do not want to drink the chemicals, and two, it affects their skin. What they're saying without knowing, it affects my soil biology. That's what they're saying.
And they don't even understand it.
In a separate different way. And I try to tell them, okay, how do you think the soil feels when you cut? Not it's just water, but chemical fertilizers, pesticides, herbicides, you name the toxins. That's where it's going. You see, right?
Yeah.
So they don't connect. They don't connect what's going on there. And I fortunately I deal with people who are really intelligent because I've learned how to be simple with them. Like I said, you take a water filter, you drink that, right? You don't want to be drinking on your stomach, right? Well, guess what? The soil nuts neither. I'm here to tell you that soil called me up and said, stop it already, because you're never going to heal. You're never, and on top of that, healing takes time. People say, well, how come you have to come every month for the rest of my life? Well, if you're going to be using the city water every month, every day, every week, boom, 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 right? It's not like once every, no. Your soil will never heal. Your trees will never heal. And the only thing that I'm doing is keeping them from dying because I'm like intravenously feeding them. But if their stomach dies, they're going to die. The stomach is the soil. So I tell it to them in that way. I said, you have to take care of your stomach in your soil because the trees are not going to get up and move someplace else in a healthier place. They're stuck there. Your plants, everything is stuck there. They're not going anywhere. And the roots are not working. If the roots are not working, how are they going to get fed? Anything you put down there, organic fertilizers need soil biology. Chemical fertilizers doesn't. So you put a chemical fertilizer in there, wham, it's like shooting cocaine or whatever it is. I didn't say that, YouTube. You know what I mean? Taking a drug and you go, oh, yeah. But the afterwards you go, oh, man, right?
Yeah.
And you're sicker than you were before. I learned from experience, you want to, and this is a simple test. Do a Brix reading on a plant. Let's make a different one plant. And then, especially like, if you don't mind, if you can go to a neighbor's house or someplace they're using chemicals, whatever, take a Brix reading of a plant, because what I would want you to do is take a Brix reading of a plant, hit it with a chemical fertilizer, do the Brix reading within 24 hours. You're going to see the Brix level shoot up to the roof. Do a Brix reading again, another 24 hours later, it's going to go lower than you had it when you first started.
Yeah.
Right. So in other words, you use so much energy that is now in a worse condition than it was before. And that's just using a refractometer to tell you what's going on, because that's the same thing will happen in our human body. You get the sugar level goes up, and then you're coming down, you're crashing, right?
Yeah. Well, and you think about it as in the racing industry, okay? It's like hitting it with nitrous oxide, and all of a sudden, boom, you got this, boost of energy. You're passing that guy, and all of a sudden your nitrous runs out, and you're going, oh man, my motor just blew up because I put in too much nitrous. Now what do? I think I better park.
And that's what's going on. Unfortunately, like I said, I deal with homeowners. I'm in Malibu here. People have more money than nations. So it's not money, it's education. I've gotten, as I get older, I'm 77 now. So I have mutated. I'm not going to take any BS from people anymore. I'm going to tell them this is the way it is. Simple as that. Yeah. If you have to, you kind of, I can't imagine why it's such a hard time getting people to buy living compost. They go to the store. I tell them, buy compost. Shake hands. Okay, you're going to buy the compost I asked you to buy. Right. You're going to do what I tell you to do. Right. I come back to, why did you do that? Well, that was cheaper. It was on sale, and I got a good price on it. I said, well, that's junk. Junk in, junk out. And that's what's going to happen. And then they complain, this is not working. Of course not. Well, compost is compost. No, it's not. They argue with you. Yes, it's the same stuff. No, it isn't. I mean, you can ask Layden, but I tell him all the time when I get stuff from my customers. One lady went away for 2 weeks. She came back and said, this is not my home. Because when she went away, we applied Layden's compost and the mulch, and we sprayed it. It was like instantly, because she wasn't using any chemicals. It wasn't really super dead. It was something there trying to survive. But when we gave it a push, poof, instantly, because the root systems doesn't take that much time. If they're not really super damaged, they'll come right back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So so for some reason they had just been they would go to the store and buy stuff. So they had a lot of organic matter. So the lady was doing the right thing, dumping organic matter all the time, even though like this one lady's using organic matter all the time. So the mulch does tend to help in this to break down. So it's not as damaging. She wasn't using chemicals all her life, just a long time ago. But the city water adds up. That's the creature that toxic too. A couple of ladies have a whole property filtration system, and they still have problems because they are not bringing in the biology. Nothing. Mother Nature is constantly bringing in biology. Who ordered this biology, right? It's like it's a constant thing. You don't. It doesn't never stop. Mother Nature never stops delivering the biology, and the biology is constantly mutating, changing, doing its thing, and dying. That's part of nature. Things die.
Well,
Unfortunately,
and it's supposed to be there. That's the building blocks from the plant that's died is putting back in the soil, but everybody takes it off, especially in the cities, not so much in the country, but they need those building blocks. That's what mulch is about. That's what compost is all about. But Serena's got a couple of questions, and she's wanting to make sure that I've seen them. Yes, Serena, I've got them in the background. We'll do this first one first here. Andy, did you already discuss what kind of plants are snail resistant or less appealing to snails? And I can answer that one. Healthy ones are less appealing to snails.
That's the way it works. That's the way it works. Also, too, it's like all the kinds of herbs are bugs. The snails are not going to eat those. They don't like arugula. They don't like sage. They don't like rosemary. They don't like rosemary, thyme, oregano. They're not going to eat those.
Yeah.
See, right? Because they have a chemical within them, whether it be medicine or whatever, that the snails are not going to go for that.
Yeah.
So all the other plants are up for them to be eaten, but if they're healthy, the snails won't touch them. So it's not a matter of this plant is resistant to, because like I said, all medicine, all herbs are resistant. So you want to have 20 different kinds of lettuces. And if you were, I remember a study where they had 20 different kinds of lettuces, 10 organic, 10 non-organic. The only problem was the same person grew them both in different places, and they said, well, this turned out to be better than that one, but then he wasn't really a good gardener, to know the difference. It was a college. But of course, they would go, and he didn't know anything about bricks because he couldn't measure the bricks level. If he measured the bricks level of this lettuce and that lettuce, the difference would have been enormous. The bugs would go, that's why we're going here. Look, it's 10 or 4 or 2 bricks level. Yeah. That means that it's super carbohydrates, not the complex, it's simple carbohydrates. That's what the bugs like. Whereas these same plants, you can take the same plant, two seeds, one grow here, one grow there. Don't take care of one by not feeding it properly and take care of the other. In the same environment, you're going to see that the snails will be over this one every time. Yeah. And that's what you got to key into. It's not so much who's more resistant. It's so much as if you're really keying into the minerals. That's why foliar spraying is so important. That's why it's so important, because you know they're getting it. You know they're getting it. Then you have to say, okay, I don't know what's going on in the soil. So if you're really good at the soil, if you're really earthworms everywhere, all kinds of things happen, you're not going to have this problem. You can go anything you want to. Just got to remember that certain plants require certain environments to live in. If you put them in a bare environment, if he's a zone 10 guy and you're in a zone 7, he's not going to like that. And soil make a big difference too, what you give them, right? So you have to, that's why a greenhouse is so cool, because you can somehow imitate the environment. You have to say, well, this plant's from China or this plant's from Europe. You want to try to imitate it to the soil to some extent, but you can't. So you have to try to grow it in a greenhouse and grow and grow. And sooner or later, the genetics will come around to survive in the biology. So don't key into so much which plants are resistant to snails. Healthy plants are resistant to snails.
Exactly. So, and it's like what I say, it's all about the biology. There's a reason I named this channel. Yeah. It's all about the biology, because that is the foundation of all life and all healthy life, healthy plants on our planet.
All life on this planet, all life, every single thing, whether it be a tree, whether it be an amoeba, whatever. It's all about the specific biology that they bring to the table.
And so if you focus on growing healthy biology, you're going to have healthy plants.
That's the key right there. So focus on how can I make, that's why I use flower water or rice water, because it has its own biology that when I pour it around the base of the plants, it soaks into the ground, the biology in there goes, wow, more food. And there's more for them. And that's why you can make it. You can smell it when it changes the biology of the plant. That's why I love worm farming, because the biology and that leachate that comes out is absolutely amazing. And tons of things that you can use their biology from if you buy organic. I buy organic milk all the time, and I use it in the garden because it has its own biology. When I do sprouts, I don't throw the water away. I drink as much of it as I can. But if I have a sick plant, give it to the plant. You meet the plant and go, whoa, right? Container plants are having a hard time because they don't have a very good biology in the containers.
Yeah.
Right?
So Serena did have another question, Andy.
Oh boy.
Yeah. There's places that have nuclear contamination in the soil. What do people need to plant in those areas to draw out and remove the toxins in the soil? Just sunflowers or other things?
So I was going to say, you know what, because that does really pull up the toxins, but you can grow hemp. Hemp is the number one that will pull up all toxins. All weeds pull up from the ground, all weeds. So if you're in an area and the weeds are starting to grow, don't pull the weeds up.
Yeah.
Don't pull the weeds up, because if a weed is growing in that area, it will pull up the toxins and convert it. What you want to do is you want to have a biologically rich environment for them to grow in, because it's the biology that will break down the contamination, for whether it be radiation or whether it be some other type of toxin. See, it's not just the weeds, because the weeds brings it up to the soil. It's the biology on the soil surface area that converts it.
Yeah. Well, and this is something, Serena, if you're really concerned with this, look at what happened in Japan when they had the floods and they had the nuclear reactor get swamped, and that whole area was covered in radiation, their soils, etc. They took on an organic methodology for cleanup. And so they used a lot of the earlier transitional plants. So your mushrooms, your fungi, it's all in those levels of decomposition, because remember, it's the biology that's breaking the cell's structure apart at the molecular level.
That's what
and that's where the radiation is being stored in fungal hyphae underground. And they found that in Chernobyl, where the radiation was hidden away until it was the ground is disturbed, and then it comes out, because it does take a long time for that radiation to decompose. But everything else, it's the biology that's taking things at the molecular level and breaking it apart. So that's where the Japanese figured this out and went to, like a Korean natural farming methodology or a regenerative methodology, adding biology into the structure. And it's the biology that's going to slowly break those molecules apart, use them as their component parts. So your radium, your etc. is going to slowly be broken apart by specific biology. So it's not the plants as much as it's the biology that exists with the plants and builds the plants.
All the plants does is that, remember, weeds are Mother Nature's medicine. They bring up the trace minerals to the soil, minerals to the soil. It's the biology that does the actual breaking up of the cleaning process, whether it cleans toxicity or whether it cleans up radiation. So you want to have the more biology, like more roots in the ground, more foot on the ground, more biology in the ground. That's what you really want to do. You want to make the best compost, apply the compost, learn how to make biology that you constantly are adding to. That's why the liquids are good. That's why the flour is good. The rice is good. That's an enormous way to increase the biology. Soil soak everything. Let the plant, and whatever plants wants to grow up, let it grow as big as possible, because they are going to suck it all up. And then you don't cut them back. You have to get rid of them.
Well, that's what the point Lily's making here. If you are using plants to draw out toxins from the soil, do not consume its seeds, sunflowers, etc. Because if you're pulling up, say, heavy metals, those heavy metals are going to get concentrated in that seed. So you don't want to consume it. If you compost it, for that first year or for 2 years, it's going to be all broken out. Then you'll be able to consume those seeds, because like I said, it's going to be broken apart at a molecular level.
I wouldn't use sunflowers because birds will eat it too.
Yeah, yeah. But guys, we're at the hour, Andy.
I'm sorry. I gotta go. What's happening? I'm in the process of changing. We're going through the solar eclipse and all that kind of stuff. My spaceship is parked outside, and I have to go now. I'll be back in probably 10 years. I think 20 years, maybe.
No, 7 days because we got a show next week.
You'll hear about it. Well, I can do it from my spaceship. You'll like it. You will never know that I was up there.
All right, guys, don't forget the ladies from Chiropractic Are Sexy are on tomorrow. So come on, find out, because remember, it's not just about, plants. It's our bodies that are built from biology as well, and what we're consuming those plants. So find out more about how to get your body healthy in all the different ways. So guys, we'll see you tomorrow on Chiropractic Is Sexy. Peace out, everybody.
Bye now.